People are already waiting.
All right. Everyone knows where the restrooms are. 6134.
It's on a little placard right there.
And how's your life, Missy? Been a freaking year. Oh my God. I can't. I mean, I do my little thing with him every day, but it's just amazing to me how fast that went. Yeah. Huh? Music? What's the music part? Oh, okay, okay. No kidding.
Awesome.
Uh-huh.
I just cashed in on my
Oh, did you buy him?
birthday gift from 10 years ago. So for my 25th birthday, my dad got me tickets to any concert anywhere in the world that I wanted to go. That was like my 25th birthday present. And I've never used it because I think it was one of those things like your nicest bottle of wine or whatever that you're like, I have to save it for the perfect occasion, right? So anyways, now that I have 3 kids and I never leave my house, I'm going up to Vancouver for the last leg of the Taylor Swift Eras tour. We're going to go do an overnight on Friday. So yeah, it's good. I mean, I had been saving it for like, I want to fly to London and see, whatever. And it's just like, I realized it's just not realistic at this stage of my life anymore. So I'm just using it and I'm very excited. Yeah. Good.
I thought maybe you had taken up the ukulele or something when you said music.
I'm not playing any. I mean, maybe that will happen in 2025, but I haven't signed up for the year of the ukulele. Spectator.
Last time I saw Cyndi Lauper, I saw her with Cher at the Key Arena. That's a long time ago.
Key Arena. Yeah.
Yeah. What's typically every Monday? 4 times a year? Oh, they've backed it off a bit. I get the concession numbers. It is our slowest night of the year. Yeah, it's gone from about $300 in sales to about $400 in sales. Yeah. No, I think it's awesome that they keep it going. Huh.
That's cool.
Uh-huh. Fun.
Oh.
Finally. Are you getting rid of that old stove?
It's gone.
It's gone already. Should I put it next to this one? You probably could have got money for it. No. Uh-huh.
Oh.
You look bright and cherry for that kind of travel.
Are you leading a tour?
Welcome to our show. It's typically a very quiet week, as you can see. So we'll probably skip the applause this week.
Yeah, Becky says it's
it
weird.
sounds sad. It sounds sad.
Hard to not do.
I know. It's like
Well,
instinct.
let's just do what we want to do. We are live on YouTube right now. And normally we make our own breakfast, but when it's a small of a group, we'll order it from Lola downstairs or from the bakery across the street. But the bakery is getting crushed today.
Oh, are they?
Tomorrow, are you?
Have you eaten?
See you there. I'm handing
right.
out pies.
You're
there.
handing out pies?
They usually cook for it.
It's honestly never. We're pretty good at the line management at this point, so it's not a big deal.
I don't know. I think we're around 1,300 pies.
Yeah, I mean, we've also cut down how many of them.
We used to do 2,500 pies.
Wow. That was
But
fun hearing.
we've cut it back just to make it more manageable on our team and on the door.
Well, that's what it was fun hearing Brittany Bartolabin talk about that.
Yeah.
About
Yeah.
being up at 2 a.m. with the whole team and making pies and.
Yeah.
Sounds
Now
fun, but
they
brutal.
do like they're done usually ahead of time. I mean, they do boxing and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
that's
but
great.
they've
All
got
right,
it down to a.
Let's do this. Try not to make Kathy cry today. Make you
Yeah.
laugh.
Yeah.
You missed our entire year of celebrating Terry with his dance.
Yeah, that was on purpose, I think.
Every week.
Every week. I think we're almost up to $10,000 at Palace Kitchen, raised for IPF research.
That's awesome.
No, show or the movie? The movie. How is it? Ah,
Oh.
and Ariana
Interesting.
Grande is Glenda, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh. I'm going to the show tonight.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Fun.
I'm going to be the beer bitch. I don't know if you know what that means or not, but we do the concessions there. And when shows are super busy, we just put somebody on the taps and we just pull as
And
fast.
that's you?
And they sell it as fast as I can pour it. And so when I'm there, it's like it's a fun little job to have with the team.
Uh-huh.
And they get to call me the beer bitch.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love
And then
it.
you get
easier.
to see the show.
Yes.
Yeah.
And easier than shucking oysters.
Oh, indeed. Oh my God, that's a while ago. Yeah.
Oh my God.
fun. Beer bitch.
I said if you want to be the beer bitch, you can come to the show. Yeah.
Worth
The
it.
wings. Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Fun.
Welcome to the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo Radio. I'm Chef Tom Douglas,
I'm Loretta Douglas.
and we are coming to you from the kitchen studios here at the beautiful Hotel Andra in downtown Seattle at 4th and Virginia. Come down sometime, say hi. It's a very busy week down here with actually, when is the air date on this show?
The 29th.
Okay, so it's post Thanksgiving.
Yes.
It's been a very busy week with Thanksgiving this last week, and so we're excited to start. It's almost like, to me, Thanksgiving becomes like the beginning of the new year.
Yeah.
Not Christmas so much, but
Oh, the new year, not even the
it's
holidays.
kinda like, okay, we're into the season now. It's like, okay.
Okay.
Because Thanksgiving's my favorite part, so that was a great.
You just
And I made the
glossed
gravy
right
god.
over the rest.
The gravy god did make good gravy last week, just saying. The other thing we did last week with gravy was I cooked dinner for 70 cast and crew of Wicked, the show
Ooh.
over at the Paramount
How
on
fun.
Thanksgiving. And I'm
What'd you
sure
make?
they loved everything. Huh?
What'd you make?
Oh, it's just classic turkey
Traditional.
dinner. Stuffing. Yeah,
Awesome.
blah, blah, blah. Here's what I'll say, though. For the first time this year, I made my stuffing out of the facetti that we sell at the Dahlia Bakery, which is kind of herby,
Oh,
olive oil.
interesting. More
lots
like
of
focaccia
brown. Yeah,
than a hard loaf.
dynamite. I love that
Interesting.
bread for my stuffing.
That sounds wonderful.
It was the bomb. It was apricot, dried apricot, and toasted hazelnut stuffing with the. Just saying. It was pretty classic, delicious. All right, lots of things happening here at the Hot Stove Society. You're always welcome to come and buy a ticket and come and join us here. Upcoming classes at the Hot Stove. Dim Sum Brunch is actually sold out with Chef Rashida on December 14th. I love dim sum.
Oh my God, me too.
I went to the newest place where House of Hong used to be.
Oh yeah.
It's called Diamond something, or I can't remember the
can't
name
remember.
of it, but it's huge
Mhm.
and it's the same.
As House of Hong?
Yeah.
Similar?
Yeah.
All right.
So just classic dim sum, nothing out of the ordinary, and
Carts or
I'm-
no carts?
no cards.
No carts.
I don't remember now. But all I'm saying is, I wish that we had our own Yang Sing.
Yeah.
I love dim
Like
sum,
that
and I love the
absolutely
classics, the
unbelievable
Nor Mai
spot.
Gai, the Lo Bak Go, the Hagao, the Shu Mai. I love the classics,
Mhm.
but I want the Yang Sing edge, like a perfect Peking duck bun, or, they just do lots of interesting cuttlefish or whatever it happens to be.
Well, folks that can't make the class because it's sold out, Rashida's coming on the show next week, and
Oh,
she's
is
going to
she?
talk about the art
Good.
of dim sum.
And I think she's making this a series, so there'll be
Oh,
more
good.
dim sum classes to
Okay.
come. I
Right.
believe. So.
Even in Hong Kong when I was there, I only got really kind of classic. Hong Kong's kind of the home of dim sum. I only got really the classic dishes.
I'm going up to Vancouver next week, and
Oh,
I will
you might find
definitely
something.
be
Oh,
stopping in
fun.
Richmond
Yeah.
for some.
Yeah, you might find something. Making the grade, which is my take on explaining the difference in grades of USDA meats.
Mhm.
And then we kind of compare them to each other. And sometimes you can cheat the grade. And you know what I mean by that?
No.
If you cook it a certain way, for example, if I had a New York steak that was prime and a New York steak that was choice, if I just ate them with salt and pepper, I could tell the difference, right?
Okay.
I know what it is. But if I were to take that same steak and put one in a cast iron pan and
Uh-huh.
put one on a charcoal grill, I think I could trick you into not knowing which was which, because the charcoal grill adds so much.
Oh, the flavor there.
And if I put my choice on the grill and my sear on the cast iron pan, the prime, I bet I could even up that difference, right, of the meats. And they're about a $10 difference in cost
Oh, wow.
per pound. So it's fun to kind of cheat the grade a little bit sometimes and see what you can do with that. Other things where you can cheat the grade, like filet mignon.
Okay.
You can
There's-
buy a lower grade, right?
You can buy a lower grade. There's barely any marbling in a prime filet
Anyways,
mignon.
yeah.
You don't need it. It's super tender, blah, blah, blah. So cheat the grade on that one. Meatballs, make and take meatballs and cabbage rolls at the end of December,
I'm coming to those just to restock.
just to restock.
Smart.
I have a big love of larding my freezer.
Yes, you
And
do.
so it's fun to kind of make a big batch of something and then either share in the work with somebody else and then split the proceeds, or give them as gifts.
That's lovely.
This year I'm giving meatballs as Christmas presents.
Ooh.
So Loretta thought she was getting a new Audi
Uh-huh.
and she's getting a bag of meatballs.
Yeah, that's definitely what I thought I was getting.
She's getting a bag of meatballs. So you can join us December 27th and 28th for Make and Take. And one's at night on a Friday night. Then you could stay in the hotel if you wanted.
Mhm.
And then the next one's in the afternoon. The cabbage rolls are in the afternoon. So just make a little weekend out of a Make and Take.
Sounds wonderful.
Keep them right here in the
Go
freezer
home
for
with
you.
a stocked freezer.
And I'm hosting New Year's Eve again here at the Hot Stove, which is
And-
exciting.
Tell me about this theme.
Well, I always, Kathy Rotero's here, and she was just talking
Uh-huh.
about music, and I was realizing that I have a music-inspired or Memphis-inspired New Year's Eve
Okay.
menu,
Uh-huh.
and so we called it Christmas with Elvis, because it's all Memphis food.
New Year's with Elvis.
Or New Year's with
Yes.
Elvis.
Yeah.
It's all Memphis-based style food, which is Southern, but not Black Southern
Right.
necessarily. Like when I go to Atlanta, I love Black Southern soul food.
Uh-huh.
Memphis is Black for sure. There's a Black influence on the food there,
Mhm.
especially on the barbecue, I think. But there's also, it's an international city. There's also lots of different influences.
I've never been.
Oh, it's a fun
Yeah,
town. I
yeah,
love it.
sounds
The lamb ribs at the Rendezvous Barbecue changed my life. Just saying.
Okay.
Let's go, Becky. I've
Yeah.
never been either.
Field trip.
Yeah.
Radio show field trip.
Stay at the Peabody Hotel, watch the ducks go up and down the elevator, and you'll
What?
be happy.
Sorry, what?
Yes, exactly. You have to trust me on this one.
All right.
And you can't eat them. That's the hardest part for me. I love duck.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Let's see. You can check out Hot Stove Society for the whole lineup. This show, weeknight easy weeknight dinners. Loretta, this is in your wheelhouse.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
This is my thing.
And
Weeknight dinners. So we're going to talk about some things that I use to kind of plan out my weeknight dinners, because we cook at home about, I'd say, 5 nights a week at this point, and
yeah, but you order out 4 nights a week.
that is not true.
Or order in. I
I
guess
just
it's
ordered
called
pizza
ordering in.
the other night with you for the first time in months.
Uh-huh.
So We really don't anymore.
I wouldn't order that pizza again. Don't name the name, but I would not order that pizza
Yeah,
again.
that's why I gave it up, honestly.
Yeah.
I just started, frankly, doing frozen pizza at home instead. I couldn't handle that it was $100 every time to.
Or mediocre pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever. Susan Cathcart of 58 Stars Travel is here with our friend Kathy Rotros. They're going to take us on a journey through their culinary travel tours featuring Sicily's Etna wine region in 2025. I will be there in April. Yes, I will be. I am going to be there like the 20th of April. Crossing in the night. Yeah. Yeah, I'll be there, and I'll have my golf clubs, and we'll be rocking and rolling the Italian golf courses. All right, perfect. Award-winning chef Maggie Trujillo was here a few weeks back, and we added one segment to her time here.
Because she brought some delicious bites from El
Yeah.
Gaucho.
Yeah,
and
we never got
Heirloom
to it,
and
so
Aqua.
I just thought we would kind of jump
Revisit.
into. Huh?
Revisit it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. She was terrific on the radio, and I enjoyed the conversation about the food that she brought with her. So, we're going to do that. We can delve into crafting a show-stopping holiday prime rib roast.
Mhm.
I'm pretty good at these. What's my big complaint about prime rib? You have any idea?
Well, I know you like the end cut.
What's my biggest complaint about prime rib?
Not getting enough crispy bits.
No. No.
So-
I don't know.
someone in the audience.
It's never prime.
Oh,
It's a standing rib roast if it's not prime.
those are my questions.
Yeah,
So this is
exactly.
gonna be
We're going to
fun.
jump into that. It's like, why do they keep calling it prime rib when it's choice?
Now
not
I-
okay.
Choice rib. It's
not
choice
okay.
rib.
It's a standing rib roast. Our holiday potatoes, I made some the other day when I was in Phoenix. I kind of copied your mom's version. Oh, they were so good.
Did you give her credit?
The boys, of course I did. The boys went crazy. Laura Hamilton is here, owner of the Book Larder. She's going to share her top recommendations for the season. I bet one of them is Renee Erickson's.
Oh, that book is so beautiful.
Yeah. So I know.
Everything she does is just like so visually stunning. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
She's right up your alley,
Yeah.
isn't she? Yeah.
Mhm.
And of course, we wrap things up with food for thought, tasty trivia. Do you have a taste of the week?
Do I have a taste of the week? I literally haven't left my house, but
It wasn't the pizza, I can tell you that.
it wasn't the pizza. I mean, it was
You know what I did love about your house? First time I've ever seen it.
what?
You have a half a dozen bottles of Prototori Barbaresco in your wine cellar.
I know. I did that for you
Yeah, it was awesome.
because you came and ransacked my liquor cart the other day and you had to drink mezcal because I didn't have any.
I don't mind mezcal.
I know, but I didn't have any scotch and then I was horrified. So I had to,
So you got wine?
well, at least I had that.
Yes, you did. It was delicious.
What's your taste?
My guess is I paid for that somehow.
Yeah, you definitely did.
Okay, that's fine. I just couldn't imagine you.
You're
spending
the one
money.
drinking it at my house. You
Yeah,
might as well
I couldn't
pay for
imagine you
it.
Spending the money. My taste of the week, so much.
I mean, we had Thanksgiving last week, so
No, I understand. So I would say it was my stuffing.
yeah.
And here's the thing about when I'm making my stuffing, it's a little bit like my gravy. You know, I'm just
And
taking.
you're making, to be clear, you're making dressing.
I'm making
You
dressing,
don't
right?
Stuff it
Right.
inside.
Stuffing
Okay.
is in a turkey. Dressing is on the side. A big.
You're speechless with
I
how
am
good it was.
because I,
It's
I
so
feel
good.
like I go on this rant every year. A big thing that really bothers me is when people tell me about their favorite stuffing,
Dressing.
dressing, whatever.
Okay.
They put the bread up on the top of their fridge for a week to get stale.
Yeah.
It's like, are you kidding me? You're going to make a huge Thanksgiving dinner. You're going to put all that effort in.
Yeah,
You're
like
going
an
to buy a
integral
turkey,
part of your dinner.
and then
yeah.
you're going to put the bread up on top of your fridge to get stale, so that you
agree.
can use stale bread in your stuffing.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Oh my Lord! What are people thinking?
Just give your guests better than that.
So there's two things about your dinner that are so simple, right? The bread aside.
Okay.
The other thing people do is like, oh, this is the time of year for my turkey spice or for my poultry spice to put on my turkey.
Mhm.
And it's been in your cabinet for 10 years waiting for the once a time a year that
Then
you
pull
use
it
it.
out. Yeah.
So buy a small container down at World Spice, use it up every year and buy it again because
Fresh
your
spices make
fresh
a big
turkey
difference. Yeah.
needs fresh
Absolutely.
spices.
Okay.
So don't sabotage your dinner.
So people know this for Christmas dinner now.
Right.
Yeah.
And the point is, you're trying to be a better cook than your neighbor. than your guests. You
That's
want
the
to
whole point.
you want to impress people
to
that
show
come
up your
over.
friend.
Yeah, exactly. God, have you had that stuffing at Tom Douglas's house? It
Woo!
is incredible. The spices seem so fresh. You got to do it.
That's what they're saying.
It's part of the effort. It's part of the entertainment effort.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't mess up. You know, I would say something different if I wasn't on the radio. Okay, easy weeknight dinners right here on the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
All right. Do you want a stapler?
No.
Okay. You got a paper.
Yes. Yes. Well, tell me in your segment. Yeah. That'll be fun to integrate that.
Yeah, and actually,
Italian? Wow. I don't know. I could barely get Terry to drink an Italian wine before he was gone, and it took him years. And then finally he said, "Oh, it's pretty good."
that wine is all from our trip to Orcas.
Oh, I knew I paid for that wine.
It was extra that you brought back? Or-
Yeah.
Oh.
I sent a case up to Orcas.
Oh, that's so thoughtful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did I get a thank you?
Well, you got some the other day, though,
Ooh.
right?
Yeah, you got to drink it.
All right, we're back here at the Hot Stove. It's time for some easy weeknight suppers. Loretta's going to take the lead on this because you need easy in your life. I was
I
at
need
your
easy
house.
in my life. Yeah.
I was at your house for pizza last week.
Yep.
And oh my God, those babies are crazed. Not only
Yeah.
are they always sick, but they think that eating dinner is a circus sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, throw the pizza here, throw the pasta there. I didn't even know that company had pasta delivery too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But
I
your
need-
kids are crazy.
Yeah.
So,
It's
Loretta,
fun.
how many people are you cooking for on a typical weeknight?
On a typical weeknight, we have 3 adults and 3 kids.
That's a lot.
So and then give or take, 1 or 2 people. If
Isn't that crazy to think about my
shows
mother?
up, but I know.
8
But
kids.
yeah.
Her parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even with just the 3, like I just had to transition to Costco shopping because I was like, we are going through things too fast.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But growing up, I mean, dinner at our house growing up was a thing every night. And it wasn't often like an easy weeknight meal, I would say. I mean, at least in my memory.
Well, we
like,
cook. We're cooks.
you cooked
Yeah.
every night, and I feel like I cook every night, but I simplify from what I grew up with, and so I've kind of had to teach myself this as I have had kids. And I also menu plan for the week, which is something that I never did before. I was always more of like a shop everyday person. What sounds good to me tonight, and it's just not feasible for my life anymore, or my budget with these kids, and so I've had to kind of get into a Sunday menu planning.
prep.
And I'm
Yeah.
not a meal prepper,
Okay.
I guess I would say. Like I'm not chopping for the week and
You're
things
not like your
that.
mom that way.
No.
She loves being a prepomatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so I'm not like making things on Sunday that I'm going to eat all week, but I am planning what I am going to eat during the week. And I still like to have the choice of like what sounds good to me that day. So I try and plan 4 or 5 meals that then I can choose day of which one sounds the best for me. So I'm not planning like Monday I'm going to have this.
So that's a
Tuesday,
strategy
that.
when you're
So-
making your online shopping cart.
Yeah.
You're thinking night to night to night. Are you thinking like, okay, Wednesday we're gonna have this, Thursday we're gonna have that?
No, I'm thinking here's 5 things we can eat this week, depending on, if it varies from a 20-minute dinner to a 45-minute dinner. So depending on how much time we have and depending on then like what sounds good to me. Because I still like that kind of day of.
And are you
choice.
able to multi-purpose proteins or salads or things like that, or is that hard with 6?
That's kind of part of it.
Mhm.
I will mix and match. Like if all of a sudden I get like just a hankering for something, I'll deviate. And I will typically stop at the store maybe one more time a week from my online order just because inevitably I forgot something. But the thing that I do the most is I try to plan in categories
Okay.
week over week so that I'm not like reinventing the wheel every time. And so I would plan in categories or in starch. So for me, it's like one time a week we have a pasta dish. One time a week we have some kind of Mexican dish. One time a week we have some kind of Asian dish. And one time a week we have like American or sheet pan dinner. And so I just rotate those categories
Mm-hmm.
every week. So it's not that I'm making the same thing, but I am planning within a category
A technique
each time
Yeah.
or a technique each time. And that makes it simpler
That's impressive.
to me.
Mhm.
The other way I can do it is like we love the starches in my house, right? So I can just base it on a starch. So a pita, a tortilla, a pasta, or a potato.
Mhm.
And then I will just, if I'm planning 4 meals, I'll pick those 4 things and then I just pick what goes with each one of those things. And then I just kind of have other categories in my head that I try and hit every week, like nutritionally or flavor profile wise that I want to get to. So I try and cook fish at least once a week. So that's usually, if I'm buying on Sunday, that's usually Monday night because I want to eat the fish
Mhm. Right
as
away.
close to when I bought it. So then I'll just rotate through, and usually it's fish, pork, chicken, steak. And in some, I'm essentially like making a matrix, right? So if you think of it as a spreadsheet of like
Mhm.
category down one side, protein down the top,
Mhm.
and then you just mix and match into each of those
Remember like Julia
things.
Thurson's?
Yeah,
How she
she
has
and
that
I
chart.
cook. I mean, that
Yeah.
chart I love that book that she wrote, and that is pretty much exactly how I.
It's called
about
What
it.
Goes With What.
Yeah, What Goes
it
With
just
What.
came out. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really beautiful book. Speaking of books that you should get for the holiday season,
So
I love that one.
what
But-
other strategies are inside of that strategy? So, for example, you're trying to get your kids to eat vegetables, right?
Yeah.
Are you thinking about a way to integrate vegetables into some of these things that
Yeah, so
that maybe a big chunk of broccoli might not work, but a broccoli soup might work, or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
totally. And I am always kind of thinking of like how I can introduce a vegetable. So for example, if we're making pasta, every single time pretty much I am box grating a zucchini into
Oh,
whatever sauce that I'm making because it breaks down, it gives moisture to the sauce. It doesn't taste like much. It can carry through a red sauce and you won't even really know that it's there. And I'm just adding a vegetable, right? So
Mhm.
if they don't touch anything else, I know that that's in there. And I'm not like a hidden vegetable person.
Mhm.
Like I will tell them there's zucchini in the sauce because I think that they should know
Mm-hmm. Not be afraid.
and not be afraid of it and not feel like I'm duping them or something. But it's just for me, that's a way to kind of like add something in. We have kind of a stable of produce that we buy every week also. And again, it's just I know what works in pretty much everything that I'm making. So if I buy peppers, zucchini, broccoli, green onions, carrots, yellow onions, eggplant, and cherry tomatoes. Like for me, I can take those 7 or 8 things, and in any one of those categories that I pick, those will work
Yeah.
in. So if I'm doing a stir fry, I cut them one way. If I'm doing pasta, I'll do it another. Oh, and salad greens, I guess I would say. So then it really just becomes like mix and match, plug and play. And it feels planned, but it still feels to me like there's a lot of freedom in what I'm making, which I like because I enjoy cooking. And I think a lot of people that like to cook, that's the thing that they don't like about meal planning is it feels too constraining. So for me, this is the way that I found to give myself the feel of cooking, but within things that I know that I can pop out in 30 minutes.
I also think it's important to give your kids the notion that you're cooking.
Yeah.
Because I know Hercules loves to get up on the counter and watch me cook, and
Yeah.
I think he does the same for you, especially baking, right? Because he
Absolutely,
bakes
yeah.
at his preschool all the time. So I think that's part of the fun. The whims though just drive me nuts. Like, he was a raw red pepper, raw everything, and then a minute later is I hate that, or this is
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
it's just crazy the whims of children.
And you just kind of have to, I found like you just
I
have
just want to
to
sit on them.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
fair. I
yeah.
do too. I mean,
Yeah.
but you just have to like plug through it, right? He'll like it again next week. And if I stop putting it on the plate, that's not going to help.
That's not
going to
help
right?
anything.
So
Yeah.
I just put it on, and if he eats it, he eats it. If he doesn't, he doesn't.
And they always have fruit. My mother was always good about a balanced plate.
Yeah.
It was always fruit, always a vegetable, always a starch, and always a protein.
Yeah. So like in our house with the kids, the rule is fruit and yogurt, plain Greek yogurt, are always available. So those are the two things that you can have. If you don't like anything else on your plate, that's fine. You have to try a bite of it, and you can have fruit and yogurt. And then the last thing I wanted to say is I do think, maybe not to your standards, but I have what I consider to be a pretty well stocked pantry of like
Mhm.
seasonings, sauces, spices. So that allows me to then make whatever I want to make.
Mhm.
And I'm not buying like a sauce for every dish that I want to make. And so I would say just hone in on the flavor profiles that you like and then keep those things stocked, because I always know that I have like soy sauce, fish sauce, Shaoxing wine, like that type of thing,
Mhm.
because then I can make a stir fry sauce with anything.
Mhm.
I always have like jarred Rayo's tomato sauce in my pantry, because spaghetti is, the
Mhm.
easiest thing that I can put together, or then you can make shakshuka or whatever it is. So, I would say spices, keeping them fresh, like we talked about earlier. Find kind of the ingredients to sauces that you like. You don't need to be buying like a jarred teriyaki sauce. You can make that.
Hey,
if
wait
you
a second. I
have-
sell jarred teriyaki. sauce.
and salad dressings. Like I don't buy salad dressings every time, but I always have the raw ingredients to put in
What's the
there.
name of that salad dressing company that I kind of like in the
Cindy's. They're really
Cindy's.
good. Yeah.
I think they're pretty good.
Yeah.
We make it sound so easy. Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
inspired.
Exactly. All right, Susan Cathcart is here of 58 Stars Travel, and she is joined by Kathy Rotaro to join us to talk about traveling in Etna, the Etna area of Sicily. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Yeah, you bet.
If you have questions, just come on over.
Just a little practice. You can go open.
Pull that right up to the edge
It's been
there.
a while, so. Oh,
Because the camera's right on the back of your head there.
come right next to me.
We have you go over like
You can also move over a bit. Yeah.
yeah.
Quit hogging all the space.
Do I do a check?
We can practice. You're too far away. Just pull
Hello.
the mic to you. Keep coming all the way.
Yeah. Like right, almost touching.
Right there.
Okay,
Stay.
how's
Like
that?
there?
Listen to me. Listen to me. You hear the difference? That's how they hear it in the car too.
Like this?
Right on
Yeah,
there,
there
babe.
we
That's
go.
perfect. Yeah,
Like
right on there.
this? Is this too good? Perfect. Okay.
It's kind of intimidating.
I'll leave that alone.
No. I've got notes here. It's totally good. As long as I have my glasses. Kathy's gonna start. So.
Do you want me to start with my taste of the week, even though I.
Let me introduce you first.
Okay.
We are back here in the Hot Stove Society kitchen studios at the beautiful Hotel Andra in downtown Seattle. We are on the second floor, all the way to the back. Come visit us sometime. I think our guests would tell you that it's a lovely looking spot. Yes. And we have a lot of fun here on Thursday mornings, generally, is our taping time. Today is Tuesday, but it's because somebody's going on vacation.
Mm.
Susan Cathcart of 58 Stars Travel is here, along with Kathy Rotaro, the wife of Terry Rotaro. They are going to do a trip to Sicily when it's this spring, right? Isn't
Yes,
it April?
March.
Yeah,
March 24th.
March. And they do group tours. I know Terry was very active. You and Terry always went together. Is that right?
That's correct,
Yeah.
except one, but yes.
So we're going to talk about that in a second. But you wanted to chime in about your taste of the week.
Well, yeah, before Terry would come to the radio show, he would always be running out the door and he'd say, "What's my taste of the week?" And I was like, "Why didn't you think of that before?" He just didn't do things
I
that way.
understand,
It was
yeah.
always in the seat of his pants, right? So I kind of got familiar with what this show was all about, even though I didn't listen to it very often. nor did I come very often,
Uh-huh.
but I still was part of what was going on. So when you said Taste of the Week, I couldn't help but think, oh, I have one. I have one. So recently I went out to dinner with a friend to Racolto in West Seattle.
Uh-huh.
And I had never been there. And it was a nice surprise because Andrew Yannick was the chef there, who was our chef
Yeah.
at Luke. So it was a delicious dinner and a great space. And I just want to give a shout out to Racolto because it was
Perfect.
delicious. Yeah.
All right, now jump in and tell us about Sicily. Are you excited?
So excited.
Yeah.
So excited. So this was a trip that was sort of, what do they say, in the dock. You know, the planning had sort
Right.
of started over a year ago. And Susan and I just want to keep this going. And we have many people that have joined us on the past trips that are joining us again to Sicily. And we just need a few more folks to join us. And we're
Perfect.
looking forward to it. And I'll let Susan give the details of the trip. But
All
we're
right.
very excited to do it in spring, in March.
Right. And I'd like to just say, Terry, Kathy, and I used to sit together. I'd come back. I was the alumni travel director at University of Washington for 12 years. So I'd come back from these trips, and Terry's like, I want to go. I want to do that.
What
I
a
wanna do that.
shocker.
I want to go there. I want to go there. So I had come back from a meeting in Italy, and there was 8 of us that went to the Etna Wine Trail. And I had never been to Sicily, and I'd been all through Italy. And I was just mesmerized by how beautiful it was. The Etna Wine Trail is an amazing area. It's volcanic. I cannot wait to see you golfing on a volcano, Tom. The wines are exceptional. They're very different because of the volcanic ash. The food, of course, is
Italian.
it's Italian.
Who knew?
But it's got the North African influence.
Mhm.
There's couscous. It's really different. And I was telling Kathy one morning we woke up and the breakfast buffet was it was on a beautiful old table in an old vineyard. And the first thing I had was brioche and pistachio gelato for breakfast. I was like, oh my God. There were like figs and some cheeses and good coffee, and that was it. But I took a bite of that for breakfast. My mind was blown.
Uh-huh.
So I came back with a lot of, I came back, of course, visited Terry and Kathy and was telling Terry, and we've been planning just to go back. As you know, the last time I was here, we were talking about Ireland, which
Right.
is where I've been living for the last 3 years.
Uh-huh.
And Terry was just so generous and wonderful and a good friend to me. He's like, I want to do Ireland. And we did it last March. He could not go
Right.
and made the call. He said, Kathy, you go with Susan. And then Kathy and I discovered we actually work really well together. We're certainly not Terry, but Kathy brought a little tiny
A little Lego chef in the hat.
And so my favorite memory is Kathy and I went out to the Connemara, our group. We went to a family oyster farm in the middle of nowhere. They brought out oysters, and I sent a picture to Terry of Kathy and I with this little figure of him, and he goes,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, I'm sure Kathy's really enjoying those oysters," which she doesn't like. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we want to just continue that
Yeah,
tradition of traveling. And
And I think it can be rare to find people that you travel really well with. Like, it's an intense thing to travel with people. So I think for you to have found it together, and then also to be able to kind of cultivate these groups together of people that are interested in similar things and doing similar things.
yeah, we have repeat people every time, which is, and then new people coming on every time. So it's just keeps growing, and it's sort of really a bonding experience when you travel with somebody. You're sharing all these new things together, which is different than traveling alone, obviously, or just with one other person. But you make good friends for life. Kind of, it's a good bonding experience.
It's never been something I've been able to do. I'm shy that way, I guess. And so Terry and you could always handle that much better than I could ever. them. So
Well,
congrats on that.
we're used to being
Yeah.
hosts.
Yeah, yeah,
It just
exactly.
comes naturally.
I've always been a kitchen side.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about Mount Etna is that I do crossword puzzles every day, and there's a million clues that the answer is Mount Etna. So
have
because
you been?
I've never been, no,
Oh, okay.
no,
Oh,
I'll
okay.
be there in April with a few boys playing golf and
For your first time.
my first time. Yeah,
It's incredible. Incredible wineries there.
Yeah.
Just it's the food. And I will say our groups are very small.
Yeah.
So it's like 12 people. It's
Perfect.
not a big group.
Well, that's the nice thing about doing group travel. If you're cultivating or if you're curating a group of 12, you can go in and can you do special tours with your group, open a restaurant, or can you share with us some
you
of the
can't do that
special
with
things?
24 people or
No, you
36
can't.
people. Yeah,
No.
No, I mean some of the experiences in this itinerary. I mean, just some quick highlights is like there is a very special winery that's opening up just for us because I was able to go there. Is the only reason they'll take our group. But we're just if you look at our itinerary, we're just doing so many fun things, going around Palermo in a 3-car tour. We're going to pretending to live the life. I don't know. I don't want to say White Lotus, but that was a big influence for that area. And then we're spending a full day cooking, eating, drinking. We're doing a lot of that. But then we're going to UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The ocean is there, and it's the beginning of their season, so it won't be touristy. We're going the last week of March, and it's cool. It's comfortable. It's just a beautiful time to go because it's off season, so it's just not so crazy.
can we rent Mini Coopers and become the Italian job?
I think you could. I think you
Race
could.
them. So
Weren't
how
they in
do,
Mini Coopers for that movie?
Yeah. how do people go? How do people, if they want
How do
to?
they find out more?
Yeah. How do they find out more?
Well, you can contact me through 58 Stars Travel. It's just go to the website and you'll look under group tours, and it's there. Actually, there we have a small section of our very small group tours, and you can contact me directly. And we only have a few spots, but we really would love. I think we have 10 people, and all of them are past travelers. Just wonderful, wonderful people. Singles can come, couples can come, and again, it's small.
So this is the 24th through the 31st of March.
Yes. And a
Perfect.
lot of people are doing like going to Venice, doing pre and post tours
Okay.
on their
They
own.
add on.
And we can help with that.
And you do other tours too. I mean,
Yes,
you
yes,
organize
yeah.
kind of all
Other
different
chef
types
tours,
of
yeah.
tours. Okay, cool.
Well, it looks like Annie is bringing our breakfast up. Yum. All right. Chef Maggie Trujillo was here a few weeks back, and she's going to share some thoughts on some of the samples that she brought from the restaurants of Fire and Vine, which include El Gaucho, Heirloom, and Aqua. Thank you, ladies. Good
you.
luck on the trip.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I will see you passing on the midnight flight.
We'll share with you all our tips that
Yes.
we've learned.
All right, perfect. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Perfect.
Eat fast. It's probably gotten a little cold coming up the elevator. How's that for a breakfast, huh?
This is fancy. Mom should do these.
So we're not going to play the segment for the audience because we don't quite have. I mean,
Okay.
we're just gonna.
So we're gonna.
We have
take
a couple extra minutes to just.
eat breakfast first.
Yeah. Look at that. Is that toast perfect?
Yeah.
That looks gorgeous.
Thank you.
You out of here?
That was
No.
me.
That was you.
I was saying thank you to Annie. I got one.
Holy cow, that's hot. Mine's in a cast iron pan, so it stayed really hot.
Well, that's a cool way to serve it.
How do they make these like this? The best pancakes ever. Withdrawals.
What was the food like? Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. So crab season just opened up today, maybe yesterday here. A friend just sent me, this is from her house this morning. Found a paddle
Got a big
board.
one.
Yep. Awesome. It looks like there's 3 or 4 in there.
Sausage is good. It's funny. I always get bacon instead of sausage, so I haven't probably had this sausage in 5 years.
That's my favorite.
It's delicious.
A lot of it turns out.
And I don't know anything about hams really, and I don't remember that I did that like 10 years ago.
Uh-huh.
I don't know where to buy one or what.
Is it just for how many people? Well, it does. It has to fit in your pan.
Yeah, it has to fit
So,
It's Adrian and I, but you know, if
yeah.
there's leftovers, but
no, that's fine. So, but so then my point was you can then do a half a ham instead of
That's
doing the
the bone
whole.
in it?
Yeah, it still has the bone in it, but you just get a half. And I would just call Donnie down at Don and Joe's, and I think he sells Hempler hams.
special, they're like hams that are so healthy, have so bone or something.
Oh, that's a East Coast or Southern.
want that.
No. That's a country ham from Tennessee or someplace like that. So you won't find those here generally.
Tell them what I'm looking for and they'll know what
Yeah,
it
tell
is.
Donnie you want to bone in half of Hempler's ham, or out of Bellingham. They're a smoker out of Bellingham, and you just want a half, and he'll sell you. Yeah.
Haven't done it so long.
Well, oddly enough, when I was in Phoenix last week, I always cook for the guys down there, and I was at the grocery store, and there was a bone-in ham, and I thought my friend Mickey would love that because he's just a meat guy. And I'm sure they don't have ham very often, so I bought it, and cooked it, made scallop potatoes to go with it, and it was a Duroc ham, and it was the bomb. It was so good. And my mother loved a ham, but she always bought the really cheap, kind of salty, saline
Like
soaked.
spiral.
No, she didn't buy the spiral, but they were just not good hams. So
What's a Duroc?
type of pig.
Type of pig, yeah.
I didn't know that. I'd have to go to the Twitter.
Rory will be 4 in March, so 3.5, and then the twins are 16 months.
Well, they're easier than littler ones, right?
Oh yeah. November 1 to April 1, it's just illness. Yeah. They are easy to please with food at this age. It's like, oh, chicken nuggets, great. Yeah, we just had our 3rd visit to the doctor in 3 weeks yesterday.
They love you.
1 time in the ER, 2 times at the pediatrician. It's so quiet in here. Yeah. Yeah.
How's your breakfast? Hit the spot? Good.
Do you guys listen to the show or yeah? Are you from Seattle? Nice. Oh, nice.
Thursday morning.
Travel.
We're pre-recording for things because it's Thanksgiving week. We would normally record this show on Thursday, but it's
So
Thanksgiving.
Tomorrow will be Thanksgiving show this weekend. And this one will be,
This one will be Thanksgiving,
oh, this one's Thanksgiving.
and then tomorrow is for December.
I'll be in Hawaii
Right.
on the next Thursday. So
We need to start looking at.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to do that. Kind of do a first crack at it.
Thanks for working with Wendy on a date.
Oh yeah, she can't. I think she can't make it with those dates
Yeah,
here, but
fine.
eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Fran's gonna try to come. She can make it for a Valentine's Day show
Cute.
if it works for her. She was very excited to talk to you. She, I would love to chat with Tom again. So, when's the last time you've seen her?
a couple years ago. All right. YouTubers, if you've hung with us, you've just seen us have a delicious breakfast when Maggie
I
Trio.
hope you turned off for a little bit.
I have the shashuka with sausage as my typical breakfast at Lola.
Uh-huh.
This is the best one I've ever
Why not
had.
eggs?
Oh, nice.
I
You
love
just want the sausage.
and I don't need both.
Yeah, it looked beautiful. Toast was
Pancakes.
perfectly toasted.
I can only eat. This is typical 1.5 of our pancakes, and they give you 3, but they are the best pancakes in the entire world. I don't know how they make them. But
Well, I think they came from my book. You know, I know you like to
they
use your.
don't. They're
I
not the
think
same.
You like to use my your iPhone instead of my books, but
They're not the same. And I've
this is
scaled.
her in the kitchen. I said, you know, I wrote a book. I wrote 4 of them. She has her she follows people. Does she follow me?
I literally write half of yours. Well,
Well, that's because I'm not allowed to.
So all you have to do on this one is just read the coming up.
In the second hour, we delve in. So, is this opening the second hour?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Welcome back. It's the Hot Stove Society Show. We are heading into hour number 2. We just had a delicious breakfast from Lola this morning, and I am sated. That was
yeah, I'm full.
yum.
I just house those pancakes.
got a little shashuka. We're going to delve into crafting a show-stopping holiday prime rib roast, maybe. Then it's all about favorite holiday potatoes. Laura Hamilton is here. She's the owner of Book Larder Cookbook Store in Fremont. She's going to share her top recommendations of new cookbooks for the holiday season. This is the #1 cookbook holiday of the year, Christmas,
Christmases.
and Mother's Day is number 2.
Interesting.
Yeah, and of course, we're going to wrap things up with food for thought, tasty trivia. So I teased this a little bit. I have a few opinions about prime rib
Shock.
roast.
Shock.
You're shocked? So do you know what a rib steak is?
Not really.
A rib steak is a steak cut off the rib roast.
Off the rib. Okay.
So it's the same thing. That's the
Yep.
bone. It's the
So it's
standing
just
rib.
bone out,
Yeah.
essentially.
So let's start with the basics.
Okay.
Because everyone wants to have prime rib on Christmas. 70% of all prime rib is sold at Christmas time,
Mhm.
right?
That's impressive.
That's a lot
That's
of
a
rib
lot.
roast. And how do they manage to do that, right?
Mhm.
Partly they manage it because they've done it every year forever, but also they keep it at very low temperatures in cryovac so
Okay.
that there's not a lot of air. Or you can put your prime rib roast in the correct environment and dry age it for
Oh,
a
yeah.
month. So you can buy it at Thanksgiving for a Christmas time
Mhm.
dinner.
Would
You
you
just have
recommend that, or is that a fussy?
I don't think it's necessary,
Okay.
but yeah, why not? It's super fun.
if you have the space.
So let's start from the beginning. What is a prime rib roast? Loretta?
A rib roast with a prime grade.
Yes, thank you very much. I've
Oh,
taught her one thing in her
yes.
entire life. A rib roast without a prime grade is what?
A rib roast.
It's a rib roast. It's a standing rib roast, some people call it.
Okay.
Sometimes it can be choice. Sometimes it could be a utility cut, although you don't see that very often. Sometimes you could go the other side of prime and have it be a Wagyu rib roast,
Okay.
right? Or a 5-star rib roast. But in order for it to be a prime rib roast, this is just a little thing of mine. It has to be graded prime. If not, it's a standing rib roast. Then you can also think about the different steaks you can take off the rib roast, which is a bone-in rib steak.
Mm-hmm.
You can take the Spencer, which is the eye of the rib steak. You can take the cap off. You know how when you look at prime rib, there's like a cap of meat,
Yep.
and then there's a little layer of fat, and then there's the eye of the roast.
Uh-huh.
That cap roast is delicious. I have 4 in my freezer right now. Because Costco sells so many of the eye steaks,
Right.
they end up selling, especially this time of year, cap steaks.
Separately.
And
yeah.
it's that cap that's tied up with a piece of string into a round. And it's my favorite part of the prime rib.
Oh, interesting.
Number
Yeah.
one, it's the outside,
Yeah.
so it has all the seasoning on it,
Mhm.
and it's tender and super marbled. So there you go.
And
Okay.
you can have that just on its own.
Yeah, you can have it on. Well, you'd have to buy it that way,
Yeah.
but yes, you could have that on its own.
Oh, interesting.
It's called a cap steak, and
I
Kurt.
would have thought it would just be like super, super fatty, but not in a pleasant marbled way, in like a chunky way.
Yeah, no, it's not
Oh,
because
okay.
that little ring of fat that's around the eye is not on that. They take that off.
They
of
take
that.
that out.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So it's a delicious cut. So let's go. Now we can go back to the prime rib. Now that we've
Yes.
settled that a prime rib roast is really only graded prime.
Great. It's not interchangeable
And
with us.
I got no problem serving a choice roast. I have
Mm-hmm.
a problem when people serve it as prime rib and it's not.
Gotcha.
Okay. You know, they've done exposés in the newspapers about things like this.
Did you help him
Oh,
Is
write?
it really
restaurants
wild salmon or
selling-
is it farm salmon
Yeah.
Interesting.
that you're
Right.
calling wild? Right? What'd you say?
Like a restaurant serving what they are calling prime rib,
Prime
but it's
rib,
actually
and it's really
interesting.
not prime. That could be a problem
Mm-hmm.
if somebody calls you on it, right? So that would never happen in my restaurant. Just saying. Okay, so now we've got our standing rib roast.
Okay. What does that look like?
Typically, a whole rib roast is 7, maybe 8 bones, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And so you can buy them 2-bone rib roast. You can buy a 4-bone rib roast, depending on how many people you're having.
And what do you?
I wouldn't buy a 2-bone rib roast. I would rather cook 2 rib steaks if I was going to go that route because it's too hard to handle, too hard to manage. And so in the grocery store, you'll see the bone in, but the chine bone is off.
Okay.
And that's the bone when you cut through. It's like even rack of lamb, rack of pork,
Mhm.
rack of beef. There's the rib roast has the standing bones, and then there's a flat layer of bones on the
Right.
bottom that has to be taken off, or you can't run your knife through it, right?
Makes
And so
sense.
they're almost always done for you.
Mhm.
The butcher takes it off with a bandsaw, and it's a perfect little thing. It is difficult to get them to stand
Okay.
unless that bone is still on. So what happens is you turn it over on the side, and it's a rib roast that's the meat's on the top and the bones are on the bottom.
That's why that Martha Stewart picture looked so pretty because it was standing up.
Yeah,
It probably had the bone on the
she
bottom.
probably come on, made
Yeah.
for TV. Come
Well,
on,
that's true.
yeah, exactly.
like skewers in there holding it
Yeah,
up. or
there's a
something.
food
Yeah.
stylist
Yes,
there
yes, yes,
somewhere.
that's
I'll
true.
just say. So now you got your prime rib roast,
And
right?
how
Or your
much
choice rib roast.
Per person do you account for when you're looking at purchasing?
A pound.
A pound. That's okay.
Because your bone
Wow.
is 30%. Your bone and your trim is 30%.
Okay.
So even at a pound, you're only getting 9 ounces,
Okay.
right? And then from there, you're going to have shrink when you cook it,
Uh-huh.
and you don't want to come off cheap.
Right.
So you're much better off having some left over than people
Absolutely.
looking at your empty platter saying, "Wow, you couldn't afford the fetus tonight." that's the worst. So, it's funny in the world how portions, like if you're in Italy or in France and you don't eat everything on the plate, they think you didn't like it.
Mhm.
If you're in Tokyo and you eat everything on the plate, they think they didn't
Yeah.
serve you enough. So,
Mhm.
you just have to, in my house, there's always extra. I want you to know that I went out of my way to make sure there was plenty of food. And I can, I'm a leftover guy. I can do anything with it.
Me too.
So you can make chili out of it. You can do, anything. So now there's a couple of ways to handle this prime rib roast. One is, you remember me talking about hams at Easter where you buy a bone-in ham,
Mhm.
and oftentimes half the ham is covered with the skin.
Mhm.
Right.
And then people neglect to take that skin off before they bake it. And what happens then? You put on your glaze, you do all that stuff,
And then all the
and then
salt
you have to trim it
seasoning's
all
gone.
off,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And so what good is that? So same with prime rib. You want to make sure you trim it nicely so that the part that you're going to season and flavor is part of what
The
you're going to
dish.
eat,
Okay.
right? And so the little fat ring around the center cut of the loin is not edible, but it's also not the outside. So
Mhm.
I love that. I love the end pieces because generally I'm a medium to medium rare person.
Mhm.
My dad liked it warm.
Right in the
He
middle.
would take the biggest cut of
Blue.
prime rib you ever,
Uh-huh.
not even blue. He liked it warm so that the fat was just kind of blubbery. It was gross. The same way you like this bacon, just warmed.
Gross.
Yeah. Anyway, so I like my meat because I like that fat cooked into the meat a little bit, but I also like a trimmed outside so that when I put my seasoning on it, it stays on there and forms a crust and is delicious. Couple of different ways to season. I have a
And
roast rub in my line.
Pause for 1 second
Yeah.
because if you're getting prime rib out too, like you do that in restaurants all the time where you'll request the end cut. Like if you're ordering prime rib,
I won't order it unless there's an
Yeah,
end cut. And I
exactly.
like the end cut from the shoulder end of the roast.
I think people sometimes are maybe like intimidated to ask her if they
Right.
like that piece at home. They don't know what they could ask for
Right.
in a restaurant. And so it's
end
shoulder
cut
end.
from the shoulder.
It's
So
okay
the
to
sh-
ask.
The shoulder.
Yeah, and it's okay to ask.
If you look at a prime rib, there's the shoulder end is got some sectioning happening in
Mhm.
there, and it's more marbled and it's darker.
Okay.
The loin end, which is what the next cut off of the end of the prime rib, is the New York steak,
Okay.
right? And so, too lean for me. If I'm having that particular cut at prime rib, I want the shoulder end,
Okay.
just like on a pork roast. I want the butt end, the shoulder end of the pork roast, which is the darker colored
Mhm.
and more marbled end of the pork loin.
Okay.
So
Anywho, roast rub. Sorry, I just want. I don't.
I
think
have a
people-
roast rub, so I like whole spices and things like that on my prime rib. I like something that's gonna, it's gonna be in the oven for a couple of hours, maybe, or on the charcoal grill for an hour or two. So I like whole spice. Or one of the things Chef Terry always loved was a Dijon mustard
Yes.
barbecue, and I had a similar thing in my first book. I want to say where it's mustard with shallots and rosemary,
Mm.
and literally you massage it into the
Slather
roast.
it,
You
kind of,
slather it
okay.
on and massage it into the roast, and
Your toasted shallot mustard might be.
it would be
Good for that.
delicious
It
on
would.
that. But it does form a bit of a crust
Mhm.
when it's slow roasted, and I love that. I want the outside. I want the entire outside of that roast.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
do you dry age it in the fridge or air dry it a little bit the night before, or do you just?
You don't need
You
to.
don't need to.
What I do like is almost all of them come in cryovac,
Uh-huh.
which is that kind
Yes.
of airtight plastic cover that they put on it. I like to pull that off a day or two in advance and let it bloom. Because when that cryovac
That's a-
comes off, what you really smell is the blood or the
Mhm.
juices from the meat. And that will go away, dissipate if you let it just sit there and air out
Air
for
out
a
a
bit.
little
That's a
bit.
great tip.
And that's the same thing on pork or lamb or
or even fish.
Turkey.
Fish, I
Yeah.
do the same thing. Paper towels, get all
Yeah.
that off. Let it.
so
sit
I like
with
to
it.
get that off of there and let it dry. And I'm not a rinser.
No.
So you don't even have to do the paper towel trick. You can just let it dry. That will all dry out
Mhm.
and be perfectly fine. And then I cook, like I said, my dad liked it rare and he liked it thick. And you might as well be eating steak tartare. And I like mine a little bit cooked. And if I want raw beef, I'll have a steak tartare,
Carpaccio, yeah.
or carpaccio or crudo in Italy,
Crudo.
up in the Piemonte. They eat piles of raw beef. Literally, you see skinny little ladies eating 10 ounces of raw beef, almost always veal
Uh-huh.
there. But yeah, it's gross. So anyway, so that's what I would like.
Don't yuck people's yum.
Yes.
Don't yuck people's yum.
But we have less than a minute, so we got to finish this puppy off.
All right, so I think we're good. I cook it low and slow, 325. I want it at 115 degrees in
Oh,
the
okay.
middle,
Uh-huh.
maybe 120 if you like a little bit more done. It'll rest another 10 degrees up.
Mhm. Ooh,
So
I
if
was
you
thinking
pull it at
5
120, it's going to rest to 130.
Okay.
And you have to let it rest.
Absolutely.
And a
Don't-
cut
don't-
that big, you have to let it rest for a bit. I mean, it's not like a 3
45
minute
minutes
rest.
to an
Yeah,
hour
it's like-
with a tent,
Oh,
with a
wow.
foil tent.
Okay.
Yeah. That's on a
Yeah.
15-pound prime rib.
Right.
Yeah.
Good to know.
All right, there you go.
Love it.
if you want to see my prime rib this year, you'll have to go online. We'll post a picture on the radio
Excellent.
on the website. Okay, up next, potatoes. Your mother makes a
Potatoes.
beautiful scallop potato. I copied it when I was in Phoenix last week, and it came out perfect. So I'll tell you how I did it on Cairo Radio 97.3 FM.
Do you want to tape the transition
The intro to, you already did the intro to Maggie.
into the
and so-
second hour?
So just
I
say,
already did.
yeah, he did.
the
And put
opening
it,
of
you just put it
this.
at the opening. But we don't have a,
You're so good at this job.
Yeah. You're going to black. Nice to see you. Have a
Bye,
sweet
guys.
afternoon.
Yeah. Tell the boys hi.
All right.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. All right.
you guys get enough to eat?
Any questions so far? Are you going to make a rib roast or are you going to make a prime rib roast? A rib roast. Ah,
I
do
love a
yes.
good Yorkshire pud.
yeah. And you know what that's for? Sopping up all those juices. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I've never been a prime rib person because I feel like if I
Just a
am
big
eating,
slab of raw meat,
yeah, steak, I
essentially.
want like crust.
Yeah.
You know, I'd way rather have a New York or
Okay. Okay. Sure. Uh-huh. Right. Well done is easy because then you can just put it in the jus and cook it more. Rare to medium rare, it's really kind of towards the end or towards the middle. And it's rare to get rare prime rib in a restaurant because it's been sitting and those some of that redness drains out as the juices drain out.
Uh-huh.
The bone-in
but they
bone,
warm it in. They're warming
Jus.
it in jus, so like they warm it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yes, it's really just they're cooking it more. The separate bones from the roast is a butcher's thing to think they think you can't cut the bones off. There's no good reason for that. It's also plays into the old wives' tale: meat is better cooked on the bone. Well, it's nonsense. There's not one bit of that bone
Is
that's
it-
going to flavor the cap of that roast, right? So
when it's already been cut out. kind
yeah,
of thing,
and
yeah.
so and frankly, right next to the bone, it's the rarest, so it's the least cooked. So the bone is not influencing the flavor, like it would say in a bone-in pot roast, where the bone is in the pot cooking with everything else. So that might influence the flavor of your pot roast.
Maybe give
So,
off some collagen.
On a steak, it makes no sense. And the first part of that question was
Tomahawk.
is a rib roast, but they leave the short loin, they take the short loin off and leave the bone whole. And they charge you for all that bone. An extra $10 a pound. And it's literally unedible bone that they're selling you. It looks awesome. I'm not arguing that, but it's no, not on a rib roast. There's no marrow in that bone.
So you wouldn't even bother making stock with them.
You could make stock, but you're paying a lot of money for.
Okay.
I mean, literally, a rib roast is going to be what 18. A prime rib roast at Costco is maybe $20 a pound.
Okay.
A prime tomahawk is $45 a
Right.
pound.
Right.
And you're literally just paying for that bone
Yeah.
and for the look, which is fine. I love it. I love
Which
the
is
look of it.
fine. Yeah. Sometimes you want to pay for like the
But if you bought a
show-stoppingness
bone-in
of
rib
it,
roast and
right?
just trim the ends of the bones, you can make mini tomahawks.
Oh yeah. Hercules would like that though. As a
How do
birthday
you
present.
like French them? You know, like
Well,
sometimes
on the back
they're-
of the bone, there's a
Yeah.
silver, right? And you can run a knife up that silver and just peel it.
peel
So
it. kind
that's
of
the classic French way of doing it.
Okay.
For me, when you think about it, what's the best part of, say, a pork roast? Is the baby back ribs, right?
Okay.
The baby back ribs are the bone from the pork prime rib. All that stuff in between the bones is marbled and delicious.
Okay.
So to cut all that out
It's a
which
crime.
is what a lot of people do, is a bit of a crime. Same way on the rack of
So
lamb.
like this.
Yeah, exactly. So they're just cutting that out. And for me, when I do that, when I want that bone exposed like that, I take that center, that trim, and I cook it up, and that's a chef treat.
Okay.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
But the
But
Costco
it's
lamb,
delicious.
it's already Frenched and it's
Some of
good to
those are
go.
already Frenched, yeah.
That's one thing you really turned me on to is those Costco.
Oh,
Those
me
lamb
too.
racks,
I
yeah.
always have them in
I
my
was like
freezer now.
so intimidated to.
You can
look
cook
at
them from
those
rock
and-
solid frozen, or you
I've
can
never
you
done
can
that. I'm
you
gonna
can
do
pull
it.
them out and thaw them. Yeah,
That's amazing.
I wouldn't try cooking a rib roast from rock solid frozen. A little bit different, but those eyes are only that big, right, on the rack of lamb. All right, YouTubers, that was a little extra for you right there, since you missed out on the Maggie Trujillo interview. Favorite holiday potatoes? Let's just jump into that. We are back here at the Hot Stove Society show at the Hotel Andra in downtown Seattle. Happy Thanksgiving weekend. We are celebrating all through the weekend because you know what you have after Thanksgiving? Leftovers. And if you haven't planned for leftovers, you messed up. That's all I got to say
Quite
about that.
sad.
Because I have my first day of leftovers is hot turkey sandwiches, reheat the gravy, put it over a bunch of crispy fried dressing and mashed potato cakes. That's my first day of leftovers.
Okay.
The second day of leftovers, everything goes into the soup, whether it's mashed potatoes or
Oh, even mashed
gravy,
potatoes.
the turkey, the greens, everything goes into the soup with some stock, and that I'll either eat or I tend to like to save it for a little later. I'll put a couple quarts in the freezer.
Mhm.
So it's fun having turkey soup because it tastes like Thanksgiving.
I know
Yes.
we're going to talk potatoes in this segment, but I want to start with mashed potato cakes because here's the thing. Growing up, you made a lot of mashed potato cakes. Like anytime we had mashed potatoes, the next day you would make mashed
Yeah.
potato cakes with them. I cannot make them.
What's the trick?
They just fall apart. So what is the trick? What am I doing wrong? Because I love taking leftover mashed potatoes and making mashed potato cakes with them, and they just disintegrate.
Well, are they too wet on the day that you made them? Were they soupy on the day that you
No.
last night when you had them for
It's
supper?
like,
for
I don't.
example,
Am I not letting them sit long enough
Yeah,
before
you
I
kinda
try
have to
and
set 'em
flip
and forget 'em.
Or okay,
and then as they cook, they're going to kind of want to bleed out some of the butter and cream and things like that. You just kind of push that with your spatula and still make it round.
Okay.
but you don't add anything in it to help it bind to the next
No,
day.
nothing.
Okay, interesting. So
Some
I'm just
people put
adding-
a regimen flour, 100% unnecessary.
Okay.
So
So it's just a patience piece.
yeah, and they can't get too brown.
That's true.
Honestly, when
you're
you
not
think about
gonna
it, I mean,
over brown
of course
them.
you could
Yeah.
burn them, but it's really difficult to get them too brown because that brown is your crust and flavor, and it's what everyone wants.
Yeah. Okay.
It's that brown on the
All
mashed potato cake. But I would say that if they're falling apart 100% like that, they were probably a little wet to begin with from the night before.
Okay.
Okay, scallop potatoes.
What's the difference between scalloped and au gratin?
You have to look that up for a definition.
Well,
you can look that up while I'm doing this.
You bet.
Because my scallop potatoes are kind of a mixture of the two, and I think scallop potatoes traditionally might not have cheese in them, and au gratin
That's-
certainly has
That's
cheese
exactly
in them.
what it is.
Yeah.
And breadcrumbs are
No
more
breadcrumbs for me.
right, but that's on the gratin.
Okay,
Yeah. So that's the difference.
but
So scallop potatoes is just a cream sauce. Au gratin is cream cheese,
And-
crusty bread.
And both can have butter or not.
Great. Okay.
but here's
I
the-
just feel like why would you not put cheese?
well, that's exactly right. And some people don't do it because it's a rich dinner already, and you're just making it more rich. But yeah, this isn't the time to skimp.
No.
So I take Yukon Gold potatoes, slice them super thin with a knife or on a mandolin, either way. Get
And-
them all prepped, ready to go. Get a casserole out. I think it looks most beautiful in kind of an oval casserole rather than
Mhm.
your big 13 by 9 Pyrex.
Right.
They look good either way, but I like being able to send them to the table
Mhm.
in the casserole. Now I put a layer of my potatoes, thin sliced potatoes, in the bottom. On my burner for the previous half hour, I've been sauteing onions
Oh.
and sauteing onions and sauteing them until they get the color of a roast ham.
Mm-hmm.
That golden brown. What other golden brown is
I don't
there?
know, like
a
dulce de leche.
banana
color.
bread.
Yeah.
Dolce de leche. I like them a little darker
Caramel,
than that.
yeah.
Nice and caramel.
Toast.
So I put my potatoes, one thin layer of potatoes, some of the browned onions, some fresh picked thyme,
Mm.
and some of whatever cheese I'm using. And these are the type of things, just like when I do mac and cheese, I look for all the cheese ends I keep a cheese drawer
Right.
in my refrigerator. There's always a bit of this and that.
So it doesn't matter. There's no
It does. You can't use brie, for example.
or mozzarella.
Probably not mozzarella. It might not melt in the same way, but any sort of cheddars, all the flagship, the Beecher's
Gruyere,
cheeses,
Gouda, cheddar,
Mhm.
And if the-
Parmesan,
Gouda,
Gouda.
Gouda, goat.
goat.
There's Beecher's makes a beautiful what they call flag sheep
Mhm.
cheese, which I really like. It's sheep's milk, delicious. But Manchego, any sort of cheese
Okay.
end that you grate up and kind of mix together, parm.
Be brave.
So then I would just put all that. I put a little layer of cheese in, and I put a little bit of my cream on there.
Mhm.
Then I started again. Do the same thing. Layer of potatoes, layer of onions, layer of thyme, layer of cheese. Same thing. A little bit of cream. The only reason I'm putting the cream on now, you may or may not have to because it kind of cooks together, but I like making sure that the center has some of the cream too.
Okay.
Don't forget your salt and pepper. Another layer of potatoes, onions, the rest of your cheese, and then just pour the other half of your cream over the top of the whole thing. The cream should come up at least halfway in your pan.
So mom and I, the last couple Thanksgivings, have kind of riffed on this a little bit, I think, and we've mixed
Thanksgivings or Easters, because this is her Easter.
maybe
potatoes,
Easter. Yeah, we have mixed everything in a big bowl together: potatoes, cream, onions, herbs, and then I think it's a Kenji recipe, maybe where he does
Does
Hasselback.
everything have to be about Kenji Lopez alt?
Well, it was a good idea. But he does like a Hasselback
Uh-huh.
au gratin or Hasselback scallop potatoes. So instead of layering them
Flat.
horizontally
Yeah.
flat, he layers them vertically. One, it looks beautiful
It
when
does.
you're making a presentation, but two, I feel like those thin little edges get crispier sometimes
On the
than
top,
the
the
whole
flat.
tops,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we really liked doing it that way too.
Well, good. I guess you don't have to eat mine then.
You'll have a whole tray to yourself. I wouldn't dare touch one that's not a Kenji influence.
We love Kenji. Don't get us wrong. Yeah, so that's the key. And then you bake them, and then not unlike anything else, it's not guesswork when things are done. Remember, we had last
Yeah,
week.
yeah,
we
yeah.
had a couple of former restaurant reviewers from the Seattle
Mhm.
Times and the Seattle PI, and we turned the tables. They
How did that
cooked for
go?
me, and I judged their food.
Were you nice?
No, I wasn't nice. But we did raise a lot of money for the University District Food Bank,
Awesome.
$3,000 or so. The fun part was talking about the thermometer, because when one of them was up here, she said to the crowd, when you put this salmon papillote in the oven, if it's thick, it takes 8 minutes. If it's thick, it takes 12 or 14 minutes or something like that. And I just said, well, why don't you just use a thermometer? She says, I know, I've made this dish a million times.
Uh-oh, what
And
happened?
we had a little shout down in the middle of class. And I said, okay, fine. So she cooked off her things, and her timer went off, and she pulled it out. And I sent one of the chefs, I said, go over there and take
Temp
a
it.
temp on
Uh-huh.
that salmon right now. I want to know what it's at. And so Nancy, I was trying not to say her name. So she's just rolling her eyes at me. So Bridget goes over, takes a temp on the fish. It was 200 plus degrees
No, on a salmon.
on a salmon.
Uh-huh.
200 plus.
You got a hot
degrees.
oven.
No, I have very hot salmon. That's what I have. And she just couldn't believe it. And so my point was, even in your potatoes, get out your digital thermometer. You can put a paring knife in and feel if they're tender and they give. But you could also take a temp, get them to where you think, because there's not a recipe that will probably tell you to do
Right?
that.
No, I've never heard
But
of this.
get them to where you think they're perfect. Take a
Mhm.
temp, and then write it on your little recipe card for the next time.
Okay.
You'll know that if they hit 185, 190, that they are going to be perfectly done in the center.
Okay.
All right.
Love that.
And if you leave them in the oven too long,
Uh-huh.
you'll break your cream, right?
I've done that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then it gets a little bit grainy.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with milk generally, or even half and half. So you do want to use cream if you can.
Okay.
So that's kind of your holiday
That's
potato.
your mom's holiday potato,
Okay.
and I stole it and I did it, and it was delicious.
I'm
Okay.
stealing it for Christmas.
Are you?
Yes, you
Yeah.
bet.
So what's the key there? A couple of keys
Mhm.
for me was thin sliced Yukon Gold potatoes,
Mhm.
not a russet here. Really caramelized onions,
Mhm.
fresh thyme, salt and pepper, real cream.
And whatever cheese you have.
And whatever, yeah. And
Yeah.
I love using up things out of the fridge
Me
that
too.
would then turn moldy.
Yeah, and I
or
mean,
something.
obviously, if you don't have a cheese drawer, buy the cheese of the flavor
Yeah.
that you like.
I would
right?
just use
But-
Beecher's.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
flagship.
if you do, it's just going to add layers of flavor, right? To have
Delicious.
different cheeses. So,
Yep. Exactly.
all right. Well, I can't wait.
My God, she's learned something in all her years with me.
Oh my
Laura
God.
Hamilton is here next. She's the owner of the Book Larder. Pardon me. Let's do that again, Cam. Laura Hamilton is here next. Laura Hamilton is here next. She is the owner of the Book Larder Cookbook Store in Fremont, which is where I bought your mother's birthday present this year.
Oh, it is the best little cookbook store.
The
in city.
Perfect Loaf is the book that I got for her
Oh.
because she's been struggling. She's a COVID sourdough baby,
Mhm.
and she's been struggling lately. And I have to eat the results, whether they're good or not.
But remember,
So I
Nathan,
bought her a new book.
remember Nathan taught us you can put the yeast in the freezer.
Whatever. You can put the leftovers in the freezer
Yeah,
and
it's
then
true.
start again.
Yeah.
That's coming up next on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
And
I made my first bread.
You did.
Mhm.
What? Tell us.
I just made a sandwich loaf because, again, like in my house, we're going through white bread at a truly
Record
alarming
speed.
rate.
Uh-huh.
And so I wanted to see if it could be a thing that once a week I just made a few loaves. It was good.
Get some whole grain in there.
Yeah, I felt like the outer crust was tough.
Mm.
Like, you know, the squishy sandwich
Yep,
loaves.
yep.
I liked that it had more of a crust than that, but it was almost too much. Like it wasn't. So
What if you cooked it at a lower temperature? Would that make a difference?
I think I maybe could have cooked it a little bit less time.
Mm.
And then the recipe said sometimes she covers hers in foil for half the time, but I just didn't because visually it didn't look too brown for me. But I'm wondering also maybe that would have kept it.
Did the house smell great?
Yeah.
That's how I grew
And
up
it was
with.
super easy.
Anything to get the smell of those rotting kids out of there.
My God.
God, they're such a mess.
So dramatic.
She has high chairs for them. And then there's, what do you call that apron
It's called a
thing?
catchy,
A catchy,
but it goes in the
Catchy.
high chair. So when they throw things off, it catches it all.
which they do constantly.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So you don't have to like get on your hands and knees on the floor.
Oh, come on. You have a
You have a dog, right?
You never had to go.
I did, but I don't have to mop the floors quite as often.
Oh, yeah. Cricket loves those babies.
She doesn't. She does.
All right, we're going to go ahead and do the
Should we do
trivia,
trivia?
and
Sure.
wait for Laura to show up.
Would anyone like to do trivia? Would you like to do trivia?
You're already standing.
It's at the end of the game, and they're just you get 5 questions. It's
You
all
can come up
fun.
as a couple
You
if you
can,
want.
yeah, do it together.
If you're too scared,
Yeah.
Mr. Bridgestone, how's your golf game?
What's that?
I said, Mr. Bridgestone, how's your golf game?
It could be better.
Yeah, me too.
Got a little bit of the yips lately.
Yeah. On which section of the game? Which part? Because I'm a chipper. Oh, you got driver yips. I'm a chipper yipper. Yeah.
I like my
If you don't want to, Annie will come up and do it. She likes getting crushed.
I'll pass. All right.
Will you get Annie in there? And oh, well, no, we got a victim.
Oh, good.
And the key is just talking really close to the mic, and you can talk
All the ums and ahs go away.
Do you want to stand or do you want to sit?
The mic won't go high enough. That particular
Okay.
one doesn't go high enough. This is the only tall mic. You want to practice talking into the mic, or did you get it
All right. How's this?
perfect?
Heard the lesson.
But yours.
Okay, but didn't take it.
Right on it. Within an inch.
Okay, within an inch.
Boy, yeah, you do have to eat it.
There we
Yeah,
go.
there you go.
Okay.
Okay, what
Susan and Andy. Perfect.
Redmond.
Have you been to the show before? This is your first time? First time? Nice.
Ready, set? Welcome back. It's time for our last segment of the day. As usual, we're wrapping things up with Rub with Love Food for Thought Tasty Trivia. Rub with Love is available around the country and locally in grocery stores like PCC, QFC, or Whole Foods, meat markets like B&E Meats and Tacoma Boys, or specialty shops like J. Matheson Gifts. Please join our manager Carol at J. Matheson on Thursday, December 5th from 6 to 9. She will be sampling the deliciousness for their annual Sip and Shop event.
sounds fun.
Oh, wrong button. I thought I was at Town and Country. I don't see it on my calendar. I think I am. Will you text Carol and see when I'm at Town and Country?
I don't have her number. Will you do that? I need to.
I'm going to do that whole front entry again. Welcome back to the Hot Stove Society show. We're going to jump into Rub with Love Food for Thought Tasty Trivia. Our brand of spice rubs, Rub with Love, is available around the country and locally here in grocery stores like PCC, QFC, or Whole Foods. We're also at meat markets like B&E Meats and Tacoma Boys, or specialty shops like J. Matheson Gifts over there by U Village. Please join our manager Carol at J. Matheson on Thursday, December 5th from 6 to 9. She will be sampling the deliciousness for their annual Sip and Shop event. All right, Becky, what do we got going on here today for our trivia challenge?
Well, we've got each of you will get 5 questions, and we have 2 wonderful people from the audience. We've got Susan and Andy from Redmond, and they are brave.
And they get a free stroll through the gift shop.
You better believe it. So you get a
3 rubs of your choice.
Be a victim, get free stuff, you know?
Love
there you
it.
go.
But you have to lose in order to win.
not true.
He would like you to throw the game.
All right, Loretta.
Okay.
What common food phrase means a task is very easy? I'll give you a little starter if you'd like.
Okay.
A task is very easy. A piece, something is a piece
Of cake.
You got it. Number 2. She's making faces.
I thought it was going to be easy peasy.
Me too. I was like, easy peasy mac and cheesy.
Okay. Number 2. What is the name of the Japanese dish consisting of a piece of meat, most commonly pork or chicken, covered in panko breadcrumbs, fried, then usually cut into strips and eaten with sauce?
Katsu.
Katsu, it is.
I made turkey katsu for my turkey class.
Ooh, how was that?
Delicious.
Oh, it sounds great. What kind of sauce?
Little hoisin blood orange glaze.
Oh, of course you do.
Casual.
Sounds lovely. All right, number 3 is multiple choice. When the very first Michelin guide was published in 1900 in a small town in France, what was its original purpose? A, to rate restaurants. B, to promote French tourism. C, to sell more tires. Or D, to provide maps for travelers.
I think it's D, but I don't know.
It's actually, the Michelin Guide was created by the Michelin Tire Company to encourage people to travel more and wear out their tires,
Where else is there?
boosting
All right.
sales. Early marketing. Number 4. What is the bartending term for a small hourglass-shaped measuring device used to portion spirits?
A jigger.
A jigger. Good job. Finally, if you were making a pickling brine, what 4 essential ingredients do you need?
Pickling brine.
Like you're doing a quick pickle.
Vinegar.
Mhm.
Sugar. Pickling spices. I guess I don't. What is that? Like,
You can't ask her. She's asking you.
well, I'm sorry. That was rhetorical. Vinegar, sugar, salt.
And what else?
What's the
The
say it.
simplest of all ingredients.
Water.
You got it.
All right, 4 out of 5.
I think Chef Terry used to always say 3, 2, 1 or something,
Something like that,
Yeah,
yeah.
3 water, 2 sugar, 1 vinegar or something. I can't remember now. You would think after 25
Clearly, I'm
years.
not pickling very much.
4 out of 5. And Susan gave you a little hint. So
Yeah,
that was
she
very
did.
nice,
Thank you,
Susan. So
Susan.
go ahead and help them out. Okay, you ready? Number 1. What common food phrase means to remain calm and composed? A little starter is cool as
A cucumber. A cucumber.
you got it. Good
Nice.
job.
Can we stop for 1 second? Did you introduce them?
She did in the
Okay.
beginning.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
There's
so
just we have
both
5
answer.
questions. You
Yeah.
can, and you can consult before you answer, however you want to do it. Okay.
We have an editor.
Thank you, Sean. Okay, number 2 is multiple choice. What role does the lid play during braising? A, it prevents burning by blocking heat. B, it traps steam and keeps food moist. C, it accelerates cooking by raising the temperature. Or D, it ensures even browning of the food.
I think B.
You're right. It traps the steam and keeps food moist. Good job. Number 3, which type of winter vegetable is known for its stringy pasta-like texture when cooked?
Spaghetti squash.
Sounds like you know that one well. hmm Number 4, what is the Hungarian word for bell pepper?
Paprika. It's got to be paprika.
You got it.
These guys are too smart.
They're really smart. Okay, number 5, known as plucking cake, pull-apart bread, or bubble bread, this sweet, sticky treat is made from pieces of dough coated in butter, cinnamon, and sugar. What is it called?
Monkey bread.
Monkey bread, 5
Nice
out of 5.
job.
Nice
Way to crush
job.
it.
Good job. Okay. Tom.
So Redmond, Washington, you said? Yep. Yeah, I'm not going near there ever again. They're mean over there.
They're just smart. All right. Number 1.
We read a lot of cookbooks.
Yeah, there
yes,
you go.
yes. Good job. Number 1, what common food phrase means to live extravagantly? High on
The hog.
the hog. All 3 of you got that. Good job. I don't know if you liked it, though.
That was good. Good
little fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
question.
True or false? Egg whites are sometimes used in winemaking.
Absolutely.
I did not know that
Yeah.
until I just found out the
Yep.
hard way. Yes.
Filtering.
Yep, for filtering, just like using egg white raft.
Consomme.
Like in a consomme.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Number 3, what famous finishing salt, known for its delicate pyramid-shaped crystals, takes its name from the coastal town in Essex, England, with a salt-making history dating back over 2,000 years? Would you like options?
Sure.
Morton, Labeline, Malden, or Murray River?
Well, Murray River's in Australia. Morton's in Salt Lake City. Labeline is French,
You're
and so we'll go with Malden.
Malden, and I see some right up there on the
Yep.
on the shelf. Love that stuff.
I love the little smoked Malden salt. It adds a
Yes.
little finishing touch.
That's nice and that's fun. Number 3, last week, pastry chef Brittany Bartoleben talked us through making a delicious sounding and very steppy pumpkin pie tiramisu. She threw out a cooking technique called pot au baume, which translates to bomb paste in French. What 3 ingredients was she combining during this pot au baume process?
By the way, she said it was so simple because it was 2 ingredients, and then by the time she was done, it was like 5 ingredients.
Uh-huh.
So I'm guessing flour, water, flour, egg, sugar.
Nope, it was sugar, water, and egg yolks.
Ah.
It was a technique where she boiled the syrup and
So I
then
just missed the flour, right?
Right.
There's no flour in it.
Right.
Yeah.
all right. Final
Well, I
que-
guess we hate her then.
She'll be back. Number 5, true or false? Tequila from Guadalajara is traditionally bottled with a worm inside to signify its authenticity.
Sure, why not?
It's false. That's mezcal.
That's
You'll never
mezcal.
find a worm in tequila.
Well,
So
you know why? Do they hate worms?
I don't know why.
I don't know why.
Congratulations, Susan and Andy from
Exactly.
Redmond.
Way to go, you
Yep.
guys, for
Good job.
killing us. We really
Absolutely.
appreciate that. Thanks for being such nice guests at the show. If you want to be part of the show, like Andy and Susan, you can join the community on YouTube Live at Tom Douglas & Co. or buy a ticket to join us here in the studio and have hot breakfast and hot coffee. at hotstovesociety.com. The show is produced by Becky Guzak. Our technical wizard today is Cameron Thomas. If you miss any episode of our Hot Stove Society show on Cairo, just listen via podcast. Subscribe with your favorite podcast app. Thank you for listening. Okay, I'll do them. Can you turn the water off, please? Okay, quiet on the set for a second. Hi, I'm Chef Tom Douglas.
I'm Loretta Douglas.
Today on the Hot Stove Society radio show, Kathy Rotro and Susan Cathcart of 58 Stars Travel take us on a journey through exciting culinary adventures in Sicily. We dive into the art of crafting a show-stopping holiday prime rib roast and delicious potatoes. And Laura Hamilton, owner of the Book Larder, shares her top picks of new cookbooks just in time for the holiday. All right.
Sounded like she was out there. Yeah. I don't have Carol's phone number.
Carol Bausch.
Yeah, it's not weird. Hi. How are you?
Hello. 448-1979. Oh, no, pardon me. 601-5919.
Oh, 5919. Thank you. BAUSH. SCH?
Yeah. How's your life?
Good. How about you?
Good. Heading into your busy season?
Yes. Yeah, we're pretty well. What's that? I'm glad you brought that. Oh, great. Okay. Yeah. Is it Julia's book? I'm like dying for that book. I haven't come in and got it in yet. I thought we were going to get one at the show, so I didn't buy one.
I brought one in. I didn't realize.
I thought we did get one. Did we give it
No.
away? Oh.
Mine is signed to me, or I'd let you. And I got a little.
Oh, funny. Okay. That's fine. I'll buy it for myself. No problem with that.
I saw my modernist bread baking at home book in somebody's house yesterday.
You did?
I did.
At this one's?
I didn't realize that it had gotten stolen from the Hot Stove Society.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Signed by Nathan.
Problem was I went to make the sandwich loaf out of his book, and it calls for like a couple really specialty ingredients.
Like
that
what?
Some kind of enhanced wheat gluten. So I had just bought, like yeast and bread flour.
Right.
Needed other things apparently for his recipe. So.
Well, your mom's newest loaf came with AP flour, and it's much better.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Are you a
that's
baker,
what she
Laura?
told me to try.
I mean, not like that. I'm a simpler baker these days, I think.
I bought the perfect loaf from you for
Oh,
Jackie's birthday
yeah.
about a month ago or so.
Yeah,
and,
I heard I missed you in the store. I was sorry.
Yeah.
I
She's
wasn't
making her
there.
way through it.
I think she's just made the first recipe.
Okay.
And it's she's been struggling. She's a COVID sourdough baker
Yeah.
and been struggling. So I thought we should start back from the beginning.
Yeah. No,
and
that's
the
a
first
good
loaf
one.
came up good.
Good.
Doesn't have the same flavor because of the flour, I think, but
Have any of you been to the Book Larder in Seattle? Ooh, it's quite special.
Oh yeah, you gotta go.
Thanks.
have a
The
little.
best. Yeah, that's like a dangerous place
And I
for
think
me
we should
to go.
let's talk about that a little bit before you get into the books because
Yeah.
it's very
sure.
unique and special. So.
All right, we're back here in the Hot Stove Society kitchens. Laura Hamilton is here. She's the owner of the Book Larder Cookbook Store at 4252 Fremont Avenue North in Seattle. Welcome
Hello.
back. This is our semi-annual visit. I think we do it now for Christmas
Yes.
and typically around Mother's Day too, the two big cookbook holidays.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and then I was saying I was just there recently, and there's so much to do in your little neighborhood. You can have a cocktail, you can go to Rock Creek, you can go to
Pizza.
LaCoin, pizza,
Yeah. You
There's
can
so
buy
much.
vinyl records.
buy
Yeah.
vinyl records.
Yeah, we've-
you need a burger.
Exactly. You need a burger. Yeah, there are a lot of great restaurants. There's a brand new bagel place, Backyard Bagel, just opened up the street. They've been at the Ballard Farmers Market for a while, and they're excellent. Yeah, so there's lots to do up there in our little corner of the Fremont Highlands, as we like
Exactly.
to call it.
Let
Hey.
alone lots to do just at your shop. I mean, you have so many
Mhm.
cookbook events and author side. I mean, you've got a lot going on there in that little square footage.
We do. It's tiny space, but we make the most of it.
Yeah.
We do a lot of author events, especially at this time of year, both in the store and offsite sometimes. And as we head into the holiday season, obviously there's just, a lot going on. It's a big cookbook time of year.
Mm-hmm. You know, the last time I was in You Need a Burger space, it was in 1981 when I had punched in the nose of my sister's Carmen Gia,
Uh-oh.
and I got it fixed at You Need a Auto Rebuild, which was
Oh.
there before You Need a Burger.
Right. Yeah. Well, they've made great use of the name twice, I think. So yeah,
So
for
true.
sure.
Tell us what you brought today.
Yeah. Well, starting off with local chef Renee Erickson's latest book, Sunlight and Breadcrumbs. If this is her third book, and I would say is sort of the most personal one to date.
Mhm.
This is very much home cooking. She also created all of the art in the book, as well as she took all of the photos this time.
Wow.
And so it is completely her creation. And anyone who has been to her restaurants knows that she really likes to make the most of seasonal ingredients. Her recipes usually involve very few ingredients used beautifully.
Mhm.
And this book is just a wonderful gift. We have signed copies of it at Book Larder, and actually we have signed copies of most of the books I'm going to talk about.
Did she come in and talk about it?
Actually, we hosted her just up the street at the Fremont Abbey because our space,
Too many
wouldn't seat
people.
enough
Yeah.
people, basically.
Yeah, that's
to,
wonderful.
to make the most of it.
You know, one of the things, Loretta, she does like really well, I think, which is what one of your segments on our show is shortcut or scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a real identifier of good kind of pre-made products. I
Mhm.
think whether it's this tin of sardines or it's a particular vinegar, she's really good at picking out ingredients
A good
to help
curator.
make you a better cook.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also good at helping you create pantry items for yourself, right? So she obviously does wonderful pickles and sauces and things like that you can just sort of have on hand to make anything taste
Right.
better.
That's what Loretta
Yeah.
was talking about with easy weeknight meals.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, what's next?
Next is Julia Tershin. I understand you had her on the
Yeah,
show.
what?
Great.
A month ago, 6 weeks ago,
Yeah,
something
I
like
love
that.
Yeah.
her.
What Goes with What? Again, a book that kind of came out of the pandemic in that she started teaching classes that she's continued to do over
Every
Zoom and
Sunday.
and has really built a wonderful community that way. I think this is an excellent book for anybody who just wants to make their cooking better. Even if you're a really experienced cook and you feel like maybe you're relying on recipes a lot and you just want to get better at kind of coming up with things on the fly on your own, it's a wonderful book. It's full of great ideas, a nice mix of vegetarian and meat dishes, gluten-free. It's just an excellent book.
It's all visual too, with her
Very
charts.
visual.
and-
What goes with what?
What Goes with What?
She's a good interview too. We had fun with her on the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, no, she's delightful. And she used to, she's hosted podcasts herself at various times, and that,
Mhm.
makes her good at it as well, I think. So, yeah.
Mhm.
And next, we have Paola Velez. She is a James Beard Award winning pastry chef who actually founded Bakers Against Racism, or co-founded it in 2020. And this is her first cookbook, Bodega Bakes. It is full of ingredients that you can just like find in a corner shop and make into really great baked goods. And it also really pulls from her Dominican background and sort of growing up in the Bronx in a very multicultural way, and pulls in lots of different ingredients like guava paste, hibiscus. The book is funny. It's full of great stories. And I think for someone who likes to bake, there just aren't a whole lot of books exactly like this. It's got also a nice range of difficulty. There's some extremely simple things, and then others that are more weekend project kind of bakes as well.
Fun.
And then next, I've got Christina Cho. I've realized I've got a little bit of a theme probably going here. But next I have Christina Cho. Her latest book is called Chinese Enough. You might be familiar with her first book, Mooncakes and Milk Bread, came out about 4 years ago and was again a James Beard Award winner.
Yeah.
Bestseller, really excellent book. That was really focused on baking and pastry, and this is focused more on savory cooking. And she is Chinese American.
Isn't she doing Top Chef now? Isn't she? Is that the same Christina?
different one.
Okay, different
yeah,
one,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. This Christina is a food writer based in the Bay Area.
Okay.
Yeah. And so so this is a nice mix of sort of traditional Chinese dishes, but then also the way that she has adapted Chinese cooking sort of growing up in America.
Mhm.
And so again, if you've got Chinese ingredients and Asian ingredients in your pantry, this will give you a lot of great ideas. Again, it's really beautifully written.
Is the world calming down a little bit? She's probably Chinese is my guess, but I don't really know her. But there
Yeah,
was this
she
whole
is.
time when guys like me weren't allowed to cook Chinese because it was culturally inappropriate. Have we calmed down on that, or is that still an issue?
Well,
Because I
my
just made a
take on that-
delicious turkey katsu the other night
Yeah.
with a hoisin blood orange sauce that was
Mhm.
mighty fine,
Yeah.
but I don't know that I could put it in the cookbook.
Well, so what I would say, and again, this is my perspective as a white person.
Mhm.
I would say that as long as you are acknowledging
Upfront
where your
about it, yeah.
inspiration, right,
Yeah.
and like, and I think giving respect to the culture that you're taking, that you not taking, the
100%,
culture
yeah,
that
that
you
you're
have
using, yeah,
adapted this
yeah.
from, then I think that it's much more. I think that's fine. I think what people bristle against is the idea that like you would, and I'm not saying you would do this, Tom, but a recipe like that is presented as a great discovery by a white person.
Yeah.
Where you're like, you know,
Mhm.
that's not what this is. This is a technique that, you know, has been used in another culture for ages.
Right.
And I, you know, I'm not the person who discovered this, you know, like, so that I think is the difference.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think clarifying that over the last few years has been good.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think in the publishing industry as well, you are seeing books from a lot more own voices authors,
Mhm.
which I think when you weren't seeing that and you were seeing books about Chinese food written by people who weren't Chinese
Mhm.
almost exclusively, that's a bigger problem, right? Like that's a systemic problem that I think the publishing industry is beginning to address.
Right.
Yeah, you're not giving voice to the culture that you're actually borrowing.
Exactly. Exactly.
Unless you're crediting it. Like
Right.
Barbara Trop
Yeah.
always talked about her travels and time in China, and never did. She had that little restaurant, China Moon, in San Francisco, with one of my favorite cookbooks of all time, China Moon cookbook. But she was a nice little Jewish lady. So, I mean, you would never put the two together in your head, but she was a scholar of that kind of food too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's interesting how
Yeah.
things morph a little bit. So
For sure. And I think we're also seeing, because the next author I'm going to talk about, Khushbu Shah, her book Amrikan, again, is Indian American. And I think with Christina's book, Paola's book, Khushbu's books, you're seeing sort of first generation writers.
is that interesting? Yeah.
Oh.
really come forward with, you know, this is my background and how I've been influenced and how it makes me an American cook, right? And so I think that's really exciting.
Me too.
Yeah.
100%.
Amrikan is really fantastic Indian cookbook where, again, if you've got a lot of Indian ingredients in your pantry and you want interesting ways to use them beyond, you know, traditional Indian dishes, which are obviously great to make, this will give you a lot of great ideas for sort of applying them to American sort of recipes. Again, it's got some traditional Indian recipes as well, but it's also got things like chicken wings and burgers and things like that you tend to associate more with traditional American cuisine. And it's really clever and funny and has a really great pantry section, really delightful.
I can't wait to read that. I just feel like Indian food is still an undiscovered, like, undiscovered is probably the wrong word, but it's just unexplored area for a lot of American chefs like myself. I just don't know much about the history, even though Madhur Jaffrey, I met her a million times, 30, 40 years ago.
Right.
It's still not an area that I feel as comfortable in
Well, I
as I
also
say
think
do Japanese food.
For like
or-
a lot of white American home cooks or non-Indian home cooks, like it's, to me, Indian food is more intimidating to people, I think, and like not something that people feel as comfortable just
Riffing
reaching
on
out
it.
and cooking and
Yeah.
learning about and riffing on in that way.
Yeah.
Or it's like they order tikka masala every time that
Yeah.
they
I always thought
order
that was
Indian
a
food
unique
kind of thing. And, like,
American chef pleasure was riffing on any cuisine in the world, where chefs from other parts of the world don't necessarily feel the same way about doing that with other cultures.
Oh, I don't know. I think a lot of what you see in Japanese cuisine and Korean cuisine and Indian cuisine, when you're actually there, is, I mean, not that I've traveled in all those
Riffing on
places,
American
but they
food?
riff on American food. They riff
Yeah.
on French food. They do all kinds of things. The last book I have is Sri Owen, who is a British Indonesian writer, and I brought it because Indonesian food doesn't get enough play in the U.S.
That's right.
She is a writer in her 80s who moved to the UK in the 50s, and this is a lifelong sort of journey of Indonesian cooking and essays, and it's beautiful for the cookbook lover who has everything, basically.
You know who I think did the best job of Indonesian food that I've read over the years is it Charlene Solomon?
Yeah, Charmaine. Yeah,
Charmaine Solomon.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that book. That Cuisine of Asia or something, I think it's
That
called.
is it. Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
classic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's the name of that one again?
This one is called Indonesian Food, and the author is Sri Owen.
Okay, perfect. So you can find all these books over at the Book Larder, 4252 Fremont Avenue North. And you can say hi to Laura and one
Yes.
of Loretta's classmates from SAS, I
Is
believe.
Mira still there?
Mira.
Yeah.
Mira
She
still
is,
works there.
yes.
Yeah.
Store manager for 10 years.
Isn't that crazy?
And you're coming up on 13 years, right?
We
14.
just had our 13th birthday.
Well,
yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, when we come back, it's time for the well-known, lovely Rub with Love Food for Thought Tasty Trivia, brought to you by Rub with Love Spice Rubs on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Woohoo.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
To get some of these.
Yeah, I'll buy it. Let me buy it from you.
The Indonesian one.
Well, some of those are signed to me.
Yeah.
I love how. Oh my god, it's so fun. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it's funny. I texted